Now, the Zimbabwean government has sacked 16,000 striking nurses. Vice President Constantino Chiwenga is accusing them of staging a politically motivated walkout. He says they will be replaced by retired and unemployed staffers. The nurses walked out on Monday over unpaid allowances, leaving hospitals understaffed. The nurses' strike comes just days after the government gave in to doctors' demands and hiked their salaries and allowance. More than 90% of Zimbabwe's budget is spent on government wages. The new government wants to contain labor unrest ahead of the first elections since the fall of former President Robert Mugabe. Last month, teachers protested low salaries and poor service conditions in the education sector. Public school teachers are threatening to strike soon if their demands are not met. Now, for more on Zimbabwe's ongoing labor unions protests, I'm joined by VOA Zimbabwe reporter Ntungamili Komo. Ntungamili, welcome to Africa 54.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, so first, the government says that this striking nurses are actually motivated by politics. Is there any evidence that they're perhaps members of the opposition?
Absolutely not. And, observers say this really shows how jittery the government is because we are heading towards the elections. So the strike doesn't augur well for the government, with an election barely 2-3 months away. So they are saying, it's actually the government that's playing politics here because the politics that the nurses are playing is the politics of the stomach. And it's really unfortunate that the government of Zimbabwe is now accusing them of, playing party politics.
Person, I would wonder, they hired on political considerations. But let's look at it this way also. The government claims that it has offered something to the nurses. They have refused to take the offer, and the government is completely broke. They have hardships, difficulties, paying their own debts. Realistic and also looking at it, could it be that just the government is not able to pay those salaries?
That's true. The government is very broke. For a very long time, our government has not been, able to function in a normal manner because it's just broke. It can't borrow money from outside because we owe so much to the IMF, to the World Bank, to other, lenders, and therefore we cannot borrow and finance our own activities. But one thing that has surprised many people is that, fair enough, the government says it doesn't have money, but just last week they imported, hundreds of cars worth $70 million US dollars from South Africa to use in their, campaign for the coming election. And, that has really angered many people who say, here's a government which cannot, which doesn't want to pay our healthcare workers, but, it's ready to finance its own activities.
Now, for somebody observing some of these strikes and threats to strike, may think perhaps this is as a result of the newfound courage to go onto the streets. Did we witness such kind of strikes during Mugabe's control? Yes,
we did. I think there were more strikes during the Mugabe era than we are witnessing now. Maybe, because these guys have been only in power since November, so they're pretty new. But strikes have always been there in Zimbabwe. The Mugabe regime was not, able to pay its workers, teachers, healthcare workers, pretty much every sector. So, once in a while, here and there, pretty much every year, we would have, a lot of strikes by civil servants.
How has, say, the strikes or threats of strikes in the education sector affected the programs, if you've heard anything from Zimbabwe?
So our schools will be opening, I think, in 2 weeks' time. And teachers gave notice when schools closed last month that, if we don't have a salary increase, we are not coming back to class when schools open. So we have another strike coming up. But previously, the education sector has been severely crippled by the strikes.
Wow, sad situation there. Thanks a lot, and Tungamili, for joining us today.
You're welcome,
and helping us out on that.
You bet.
Well, that's VOA Zimbabwe reporter Tungamili Nkomo.